Adriana, look at this story I found today. What are you doing to my washing machine?
It's research for our today's show. I'm using art to launder money.
Do you even understand how that works?
Totally. It won't be long and we'll be millionaires. Millionaires.
This is so not how money laundering works. What were you thinking?
I'm not thinking. ChatGPT is thinking for me. He told me all about it. Hold this.
This is my painting.
Step 1, put in the artwork. Step 2, make it bubbly.
Oh my goodness! My machine!
Throw some money in there.
No,
And then
no.
you just press the button.
Don't touch it. No, Adriana, don't touch that. No, don't touch that button.
Oh no, I forgot the softener.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the secret ingredient to money laundering. Hi, welcome to Art Adventures. I'm Elizabeth Whelan.
And I'm Adriana and Eftimie, and today we're talking about money laundering. Isn't that exciting? Elizabeth, what exactly is money laundering and how does it work? The name is really misleading as there are no washing machines involved.
Exactly. And the term is a little confusing. Art money laundering is a process where illegally obtained funds are disguised as legitimate income through purchasing and selling artwork. It works by exploiting the unique features of the art world, such as the lack of regulation, the opacity of transactions, many of which are private, and the high prices of art pieces. And as we already know, those prices are subjective and can easily be manipulated. So the art industry has long been a watering hole for criminals, not us. But according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the underground art market, which includes thefts and fakes, illegal imports, and organized looting, may bring in as much as $6 billion annually. So the portion attributed to money laundering and other financial crimes is in the $3 billion range. So much art is involved that it's impossible for us to show you all, but here's one example. This painting by Modigliani was part of a money laundering scheme by a Connecticut art dealer who hoped to sell this and other paintings overseas as a way to launder drug trafficking funds.
Yes, the legitimate art market moves a ton of money. It was estimated at 67.8 billion worldwide at the end of 2022. But 3 billion is still a lot of money for money laundering, and it can go even higher than this, considering many people get away with it and it's never documented.
So how is it done? Here's an example of one type of money laundering. Say I want to launder money that I got through criminal activity. I might deposit the dirty funds in an offshore bank account that has little scrutiny, or even hold on to the cash, then invest the funds in a legitimate business or asset, or use the money to purchase high-value items like art and real estate or luxury goods. Now the dirty money is off my hands. My purchase is then hoarded for future sales or sold quickly to turn the object into clean money, which I then deposit in a legitimate bank account. The sale of the art or the house or the other item is easy to see as the source of my now clean money, and I am home free. So money laundering is used to avoid taxes, hide ill-gotten gains, evade sanctions, commit fraud, and it's a serious crime.
Artwork can be used to launder money in a variety of ways due to its high value, ease of transfer, and the huge lack of transparency in the art market, as we already know. And people can launder money with both original artworks but also fakes. For example, they can use over-invoicing. Here, the person looking to launder money will purchase artwork from a gallery, dealer, or auction for a much higher price than it's actually worth, using dirty money. The artwork can then be resold at its new market value, and the launderer can receive the now clean money back in the form of a legitimate payment.
Oh, wow.
Easy, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is just for educational purposes, so please don't get any ideas. Another way is using under-invoicing. In this scenario, the buyer and seller cooperate on a scheme to move value from country A to country B, avoiding detection by authorities. For example, the seller in country A invoices an artwork at far less than its market value. The buyer in country B pays for the art and then resells it at a higher market value. He can now share the proceeds with the original buyer, keep the proceeds, or in many cases, give them to the criminal or terrorist organizations who arranged the scheme in the first place. So many ideas. Elizabeth, are you sure we should share all of this?
That's a really good point. And here are a few more ways. Another way to launder money using artwork is by using the piece as a collateral for a loan. The launderer can borrow clean money using the art as collateral and then repay the loan with the dirty funds and get them out of his hands. Artwork can be purchased using dirty money, transported across borders without the proper documentation or at a much lower price, and then sold at market value or higher, resulting in clean money, very much like what you were just talking about. So a criminal seller, person A, may put art up for sale or auction and have a prearranged buyer, person B, willing to spend millions on a painting as another way to move money from the buyer to the seller in a supposedly legitimate manner. In this way, the price realized can be extremely high, as the sale is just a cover for the money to move from person A to person B, as you said, sometimes across international borders. The art is not the point. It's about moving the money.
This is incredible. Now, how do these people get away with it? And why art in particular?
Yeah, I was wondering about the same thing, and I realized that unlike banks and other businesses dealing with big bucks, art sellers have no obligation to report large cash transactions to any governing authority. In fact, dealers can keep the names of buyers and sellers completely anonymous, and they do not have to file so-called suspicious activity reports with the U.S. Treasury Department if they have doubts about the origins of the money that they are being paid. And I think that's kind of crazy. Annoyingly, as recently as 2022, the U.S. Treasury said that there was no pressing need to add regulation to the art market at this time, as there were more pressing problems for them to deal with. And personally, I disagree completely with this assessment and find it interesting that the Treasury's report did cite areas ripe for abuse, but still would not subject the art market to the same banking regulations that so many other industries need to adhere to. After all, we have seen with Salvator Mundi, that painting, that it only takes one sale to move hundreds of millions of dollars. Here we have a mummy portrait that's about 1900 years old, an encaustic portrait of an upper-class Egyptian woman. It's estimated to be worth about $1.2 million, and it was seized from the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 2022 also, one of 5 valuable Egyptian artifacts that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had confiscated from the museum. These are connected to a case involving some well-known European dealers who stand accused of falsifying documents to traffic hundreds of artifacts. And a few years ago, one of these dealers was arrested in Paris on charges of criminal conspiracy, gang fraud, and money laundering. Often these cases involve multiple crimes, with money laundering being just one part. So who do you think uses artwork to launder money?
Well, while not everyone involved in the art market engages in money laundering,
let us hope not.
some individuals and entities may exploit the system for illegal purposes. Those involved in money laundering through art can include, well, art dealers who participate by facilitating transactions with illicit funds. They might even create fake invoices or undervalue artworks to help disguise the true source of the funds. Then we have criminals, who may use auction houses to buy and sell art at inflated prices to clean their illegal money. This doesn't necessarily mean that the auction houses are part of it, but they might have some fault if they fail to conduct their due diligence on buyers and sellers. For example, the Mexican government passed a law in 2010 to require more information about the buyers and how much cash could be spent on a single piece of art.
Oh,
that's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Well, the result was the market collapsed and sales dipped 70% in less than a year. Ain't that interesting?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Many believe that was because, well, Mexican cartel rings had previously been the biggest buyers in the market.
Wow.
And even some galleries might be used as a front to launder money. By reporting false or inflated sales, they can help funnel illegal funds through the art market.
And there's more. Organized crime syndicates can buy or sell or even steal artwork to facilitate laundering the proceeds of their illegal activities. High net worth individuals may also use art to launder money, particularly if they have obtained their wealth through illegal means or wish to evade taxes. Artwork can be used as a means of storing value outside of traditional financial institutions.
It's important to know that not all art transactions are used for money laundering, as we said. And many legitimate art collectors and investors operate within the bounds of the law. To give you an idea of the potential penalties in the United States, under the federal law, the punishment for money laundering can be up to 20 years in prison and significant fees. But this is a white-collar crime, right? So many sentences are a lot lower.
Oh, yeah.
But I imagine a lot of money launderers do get caught. What is one of the most audacious money laundering schemes, Elizabeth?
Yeah, there have been so many audacious money laundering schemes over the years. And this one fits the criteria of underreporting the value of art taken across a border. So in this case, in 2007, a crate arrived at a New York airport from London with a sticker stating that it contained a painting worth $100. Authorities later discovered that it was an $8 million painting called Hannibal by the artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. But at the time, the painting's entry into the U.S. went undetected. It was later seized at a Manhattan warehouse by federal investigators as part of a billion-dollar fraud and money laundering case against the former Brazilian banker of Banco Santos, who converted some of his loot into a 12,000-piece art collection. That's
Wow.
really amazing. So authorities are often concerned that dealers, galleries, and auction houses are either not paying attention, are turning a blind eye, or are actively complicit in the movement of funds. This is where the snobbery of the art world comes into play. Some of these folks feel that they and their well-heeled clients should be above scrutiny, that such things don't happen in the art market. The opacity of private sales really contributes to this. Few other businesses are allowed to move their money and goods internationally with so little regulation.
I've heard many conversations surrounding the idea that modern art is actually used just for money laundering. People are often confused as to why a big circle on a canvas sold for thousands of dollars or a banana stuck on a wall is $120,000, right?
Yeah, that's understandable, particularly the banana thing. I get the issue of scarcity and that sometimes something new and shocking is going to fetch a super high price. The exclusivity issue. If I buy a Picasso and hang it on my wall, people don't need to like the painting, but they'll know that I've got big bucks. But there are some scenarios, some deals that to me, they just smell. If I can tell that, then the authorities should. They should be able to do that. We should have a little bit more regulation, I think, to the market.
People in general are finding it hard to justify why some paintings that apparently didn't take a lot of effort or skill, right, to produce sell for such an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Well, the art world lives in an uncharted place, and no matter how much we try to justify those huge prices based on scarcity, innovation, or any other reasons they might come up with, well, the truth is, quite a lot of time, there's not too much logic to it.
Yeah, it's really true.
And
yeah.
along those real transactions that could happen, right, there could be so many involving money laundering. But they are innocent until proven guilty, I guess.
Yeah, I
aren't
think
they?
this is true because you might have something that really does hit somebody in a way that they feel, yeah, I want that. I'm going to spend more than anybody else does, totally legitimately.
Exactly. Even if it's a
yeah.
banana on the wall. I
Right.
want that. I want that
Yeah.
banana.
Yeah. And how do you determine what's good art, quality art, what should fetch a certain price?
It's
I mean,
subjective.
yeah, in the auto market, it's a little bit different. There are like extra features that are added on that come with a higher price. But artwork, maybe a better frame.
Yeah,
That's
right.
about the only thing that you can determine. And I know as an artist, I sometimes look a little askance at some of this stuff. At the same time, I want artists to be able to make a ton of money. But all of this stuff, the money laundering, the auctions, all of that, that's happening in what's called the secondary market. That's after the artist has sold their painting the first time. They're not making any more money off this
Exactly.
money laundering.
Whoever facilitates the money laundering is also responsible for supporting criminal activities, even though they are not directly involved in it. Just to be clear, as an artist, I'm not very fond of politics nor money laundering, but here they come. In 2014, after the invasion of Crimea by Russia, the US imposed sanctions on Russia and many others, including the Rothenberg brothers. That means they are not allowed to conduct any business in the United States. However, it appears they bought $18 million worth of art from the US market, more exactly from the auction houses. The transactions were facilitated by a US citizen with an art business in Moscow. These transactions include a rare René Magritte painting called La Poitrine from 1961, purchased with $7.5 million. While the four biggest auction houses have voluntary anti-money laundering programs, they consider the art advisor the main purchaser and performed the due diligence on him, even though it was well known that the ultimate owner was someone else. Once again, unlike selling stocks or making routine bank transfers, art sales through auction houses are not subject to anti-money laundering.
Well, this is so difficult, isn't it? Because of these situations where, as long as they've checked the boxes, maybe they're okay. And although we would hope that they would conduct adequate oversight, auction houses are in it for the profits. If there's a big money artwork coming up for auction and all those legal boxes are checked, as I said, there are numerous reasons why they would want the sale to proceed. So one way in which auction houses and galleries and even private sales can be used, perhaps against their knowledge, for money laundering is through the use of shell companies or offshore bank accounts to purchase the artwork. These entities can be used to conceal the true identity of the buyer and the source of the funds used to purchase the artwork. So this is one of those scenarios where I do have to wonder why, if we know that art dealers are representing other people, we're not trying to find out who those other people are. Just a question. Of course, not all art auctions or galleries are involved in money laundering, and many legitimate collectors and investors operate within the bounds of the law, and they're very careful about who they're buying and selling from. But like so much of the art market, there are some pretty large loopholes that have not been closed off.
I have heard of freeports, very welcoming places for art money laundering. Can you tell us more about it, Elizabeth?
Yeah, freeports are really interesting. And until we started doing the research for the show, I didn't really know as much about them. But a freeport is a type of warehouse or storage facility used for storing high-value items, such as rare wines, diamonds, vintage cars, and fine art collections. The kind of stuff we have rattling around our studios. The goods stored in these facilities are not subject to taxes or customs duties, and there's little tracking or regulation. There are around 3,500 freeports in the world, and that the US has 293 of those across the country. Yeah. And in Switzerland, there are at least 25 freeports associated with art alone. So what annoys me about the movement of art through these freeports is sometimes the art doesn't move at all. Wonderful artworks remain hidden in storage for decades, bought and sold as a way to move value and money across borders or from person to person without the paintings moving themselves.
Is that your bigger problem, not money laundering?
It's about the art, man.
Okay, good to know.
Like the $2 billion art collection of Russian billionaire Dmitry Rybolovlev, I believe it's in Cyprus, and it includes this painting by Klimt, which he purchased for $183.2 million in 2012 and promptly put into storage. And this is the same guy who sold Salvador Mundi for the nice round sum of $450.2 million as well. So a ton of money moves via art, and much of the actual art moves not at all. There are estimates that the value of the art stored globally in freeports could be in the tens or even hundreds of billions of dollars. And rough estimates say that the Swiss freeports contain around 1 million paintings, which is incredible. Yeah. So not all of these paintings, of course, are high value, but people who are hiding their wealth in art need someplace to store it. We mentioned the guy earlier who had amassed a collection of 12,000 paintings. Who has that much wall space? And freeports are starting to come under more scrutiny, just like the auction houses. They're trying to clean up their act. They're self-imposing regulations after a series of real scandals where looted and stolen art was unearthed at the Geneva Freeport. They now share their banking information with regulatory agencies. But there are hundreds of freeports that don't. So in an art storage freeport like Geneva's, other businesses also set up shop. I thought this was really interesting, like conservators and framers and shippers and other art-related experts. And legitimate museums and shows like Art Basel and wealthy individuals with completely blameless collections also use freeports. They have their place, but their use for illicit purposes needs to be brought to a close.
We've just covered the very basics today: private sale, shell companies, offshore bank accounts, and other opaque legal structures to purchase and sell artworks. They can also use techniques like over-invoicing, under-invoicing, assigning overly low or high prices, moving art illegally across borders, selling within freeports, and so many others.
Wow, I mean, it goes on, doesn't it?
Yep, they can pick and choose.
Yeah.
Despite these challenges, law enforcement agencies have been increasing their efforts to crack down on money laundering in the art market. Some measures that have been taken include requiring greater transparency in art transactions and implementing stricter reporting requirements for auction houses, galleries, and dealers.
And here's yet another Monet Water Lilies painting caught up in a dirty money scheme, this one involving a member of the Philippine Foreign Service who was a close confidant of the former Philippine First Lady Imelda Marcos. She was the one with all the shoes. These paintings have a high value and are ripe for criminal activity.
And rooting out money laundering is global work. Recently, the U.S. Treasury Department disrupted a vast international money laundering and sanction evasion network of 52 individuals and entities in many countries. This network facilitated the payment, shipment, and delivery of cash, diamonds, precious gems, art, and luxury goods for the benefit of terrorist organization Hezbollah, and yet it's not easy to pin these guys down.
We're talking about money laundering specifically, but really, these bad guys are involved in a lot of bad stuff. It's not just the one or the other. And trying to get lots of different countries, like you were saying, this is multiple countries, to all cooperate, to all give up the financial information, the banking information. It's got to be really difficult. I'm not surprised that so many of these folks are getting away with it.
And this is a very uncomfortable conversation about the money laundering and who's behind it, because art world in the first place is supposed to be a beautiful world where people create and art is appreciated, loved. But here we have some other people that are seeing that they can take advantage of it, and they can use that to support their terrorist organizations or many other illegal.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really true. I mean, you know, when we go into our studios to create, it's even if we're painting something that's a difficult subject, we're doing it where it's intensely personal. We're trying to get some idea or paint a beautiful scene or whatever it is. The paintings are sold. We're happy because then we can pay our rent. But then they go off and live this life.
Yes.
That, I mean, we've been talking about theft and forgery and
Exactly.
all of this stuff, and now money laundering. It's really awful to see. And I think this is why I'm so enthusiastic about seeing more regulation around this, because I want the art market to be a place where people don't go, hey, oh, it's ripe for criminal activity, but instead talk about the wonderful art itself. That's what I want to see.
Exactly. A place where artists and both art collectors can benefit. So are artists themselves ever involved in using their artwork in money laundering?
It is possible, but I really don't think it's a common occurrence. Most artists are focused on creating and selling their work and leave it at that. But let's talk for a minute about NFTs. The recent craze for selling digital art with non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, has been something to watch. Now, I don't think the artists are at fault in this case, but I do think that buyers who want in on, maybe they want in on the new art form, but also people who realize that this is a new potential way to launder money. And although the artist may not intentionally be trying to launder money, this is another loophole that needs to be closed up. An NFT can be attached to any digital image. And once again, this is about movement of money, not quality of art.
Well, if the art world is not regulated, can you imagine how NFTs work? It's the wild west of everything.
Exactly,
Anything can happen there. No one is watching. Just we see here and there big transactions happening, and we're like, oh wow, I'm wondering what that is.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the money is just the numbers are just so huge. We've been talking over these weeks about things in the millions and billions, and we're just rattling these numbers off. But those are far and away from the reality of most artists' lives. This primary market where we live is a very different world than what we see out there in the secondary market.
I just wish I could live 200 years so I see where the art market and all this money laundering is going.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think someone's always trying to get away with something. And I just think it's a bit of a shame that it's artwork that needs to take a hit on this. And particularly because of this business of the artwork getting hidden out of sight in freeports and never coming out. That bothers me. It's like the greatest museum in the world, millions of paintings in the Geneva Freeport that humanity will never get to see. I mean, the only thing that I can say that's good about it is they're probably making a ton of money and looking after the paintings pretty well. But that's really kind of it.
I really don't like money laundering.
Well, we hope that we've shared with you some of the unfortunately very dark and illegal activity of money laundering. It's quite the world, isn't it?
Whew, yes, it is, and it's a very uncomfortable subject. But if you really want to learn more about it, we have everything on our website, artadventures-tv.com, where you can find everything we talked about today, articles, books recommendations, movie recommendations, and so on.
And next week, join us when we talk about artists moving around the world. Through the centuries, artists have gone from country to country. They've taken ideas with them, brought ideas back. It's had a major influence on artists' work. And we're going to show you some of that work and talk about some of their stories next week.
Well, that's very exciting. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You did that. Chat ATP, whatever did that. No, Adriana, no, don't do that.
There's so many buttons which one do I press?
None.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, you might as well. Yeah, put that back
I'm sorry, painting. Did this painting have a future?
Yes. It's okay. It's only the first block in.
Shoot, is this like a few $1,000s?
No. It's something I'm just doing. Yeah.
Okay.
Whose money is this?
It's Franklin's money.
It's Franklin's. Ben's gonna be squeaky clean when we're finished.
Oh wait, I forgot something. Don't you worry.
Don't do it. No. You're having too much fun with that Zoom. Do you want me to do it again?
Yeah.
Okay.